What's up, guys, and welcome to another video with Home-Based PH. My name is Ronel Augustine, and today I'll be talking about my decision to move over to the Philippines, why I did it, and everything that went into my finally moving over here. Just a side note before we get started, I want to thank everybody for subscribing, watching, liking, commenting on my previous videos. I really appreciate it. We're finally at 10 subscribers. Doesn't seem like a lot, but to me, it really shows me that the information and the vlogs that I'm putting out there are reaching people all around the world, and hopefully I am able to help people make that leap of faith to maybe moving over here and living their best life. Another side note is I finally got my channel t-shirts so that I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna wear. Don't worry, I have a few of each so that I'm actually not wearing the same shirt, don't worry, and I'll be able to wash them as we go. Just a quick thing, I'm actually trying to do this in one take because it is a personal story of mine and doing multiple takes would seem disingenuous. So forgive me if the cuts aren't as clean as they could be, or if there's little pauses. I'll try to cut those all as quickly as I can, or as best as I can, but I'm going to try to do this in one take. My story starts out in 2023, and at that point in my life, I'd already been 8 years out of the military. I was with the US Army and active duty, and my life was going great, right? I had a bachelor's degree in business with a focus on business entertainment. I also have a degree in English, creative writing. I started a business with my brother, King Fandom, out in Canoga Park, California. That's in Los Angeles County. If you guys are into Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon, Funko Pops, check us out. I'll probably put the link in the description. And I was just saving up money so that I can eventually buy a house and settle somewhere in Texas, right? Using my home VA loan from the military. And things were going amazing. I was just checking the boxes, right? Going along in my happy way. And one day I went to the VA hospital, just regular checkup, and I told them about a back pain that I'd been having for about a month. And they recommended that I have an ultrasound done. And when I had done the ultrasound, they actually found an abnormal growth in my abdomen, which was on my adrenal gland specifically. And they told me that it could be potentially cancer. And that was such a big eye-opener for me. And anyone out there who's ever had that diagnosis that they might have cancer really makes you reevaluate your life and where you're headed and your goals and whether or not you would ever reach them, right? At that point, I didn't know if it was cancer or not because the growth was on my adrenal gland. Getting a piece for a biopsy is very invasive, so they recommended that I just have the whole thing removed and have it tested at that point. And they wouldn't be able to get me in surgery until 1 year after. So I got diagnosed in October 2022, and my surgery wasn't happening until October 2023. So that was basically a whole year of me just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, what do I do? If it is cancer, do I go through chemo? Just a whole bunch of things was going through my head, and it was pretty scary and eye-opening at the same time. After that ultrasound, I took a few days off of work, and I was just trying to figure out where I was in my life and where I should be focusing the bulk of my energy towards, right? I thought about my goal when I turned 65 to live in the Philippines. That goal was like 30 years away. I've been to the Philippines multiple times, and my first visit here when I was 15 years old, I already knew I was gonna retire here one day. I don't know, I just started looking up YouTube videos of people living out here, and they were having the time of their life. Lots of them were expats, some of them potentially basically retired here. And some of them are working remotely and living their best lives, right? Cost of living is low. The women are beautiful. It's an island paradise. And for me specifically, I'm Filipino, so it's my homeland where my family, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, everybody grew up. And I'd always hear stories about living here from them. All those people on YouTube, if you are a content creator living out here, and I probably watched some of your videos, thank you so much for helping me helping me decide to try moving here, right? But the first thing that I needed to figure out was, how am I going to live out here if I don't have a job? I thought maybe I could squeeze in a degree. So I checked my VA and I found out that I had like 3 weeks left in my GI Bill. And as if by fate, there was like a little link on the bottom that said something about vet tech, and it was like the last year that you can use it. Vet tech is basically a program for veterans that allows us to transition from whatever career that we're in right now into something in the tech field, like web design, programming, anything like that. And I've always been into programming or web design, anything like that. I've always been into it because computers and all that. Anyways, amazing stuff. I was like, okay, cool. I have a chance to use that program. It would take me 3 to 6 months boot camp, and then I could transition to a potentially remote job. I got that handled or figured out. And then the next thing I needed to figure out was, okay, when I turned 65, my plan was to live out here, rent a house, maybe out in the province somewhere, and just live the rest of my days. But now that I'm trying to do it at the age of 35, was it really ideal for me to rent for the next whatever amount of time I have in my life? So I was like, okay, cool. I need to figure out how I can get a visa and potentially live out there permanently. So I checked the Philippine Embassy in Los Angeles, their website. And while I was going through their really horrible website, I checked all of their links, and one that really popped out to me was recognition as a Filipino citizen. So I figured, I got nothing but time. I'll go ahead and click this link. And turns out, after reading the requirements, that I was actually eligible to become a dual citizen. Sorry, I'm getting emotional here. So, like, thinking back, I figured out I was able to be a dual citizen. And it was crazy because it's like everything was lining up to make my future dream come true sooner. And I know cancer or potential cancer is a bad thing, but without that wake-up call, I wouldn't be here in the Philippines living right now, right? I looked at the requirements, and it was going to take about 6 months to a year to have everything finished on stateside. So I was like, okay, I can do my boot camp 6 months and then try to knock this out too. But while I'm recovering from my surgery, there's no way I can go back and forth to the embassy, right? So I looked up on Google, and people were saying that if you do the application here in the Philippines, it might only take 3 months to 6 months, like between 3 and 6 months. So I took a chance. I bought a one-way ticket 3 months after my scheduled surgery, thinking that it was enough time to actually recover. And I signed up for the boot camp. I was in class 2 months later, did the boot camp, and I just took a chance. I literally took a chance. I finished up my boot camp around the time I was going to be doing my surgery, and the 2 months leading up to my surgery, after finishing my boot camp, I was just sitting there watching YouTube videos, making plans, trying to figure out what it is exactly that I'm going to do when I get here. So I bought, streaming stuff. Maybe I could be a YouTuber, something like that, right? And at this point, I didn't even know if I had cancer or not. I was just gonna go and then just either, by this time I decided I was not gonna do chemo, because I know some people want to fight it out, but me personally, I'd rather live out my life with the time I have left than to try to suffer, and then it might not work anyways. That's just the kind of person I am. But anyways, did the whole thing, surgery, and then a few months later, I think it was actually 6 weeks later, they told me that my growth was benign and I didn't have cancer, which was like the best news for me moving into this next chapter of my life. That, okay, cool, now you get to live in the Philippines, you fast forward your future goals, and now you're set up to basically have a good life over there, but here now. And I've never been more happy in my life. Actually, we'll save this part for another video. I'm probably going to do my first 18 months in the Philippines video, so stay tuned for that. Another video that I'm probably going to do is just a short, like 5-minute video of exactly who I am or my background, so that people who are subscribing, people who want to know more about the channel, get to know me a little bit more on a personal level. That way you guys know that I'm just not some guy making video content and hoping I get big, right? I'm actually chilling over here, to be frank. I do web design on the side. Getting too much into it. We'll probably cut this video off here, and I'm just gonna say thank you for everyone for listening to my story. Hopefully you guys, if you are trying to come over here, you guys don't need a cancer scare to make that leap of faith. All I'm saying is that you need to do a little bit of planning and have good expectations as to what is waiting for you over here. And hopefully in future videos, I can tell you guys what you're gonna see while you're over here. The good, the bad, and the ugly. If this video helped you out, I would really appreciate it if you would like, comment, subscribe, and check out my future videos in the future. After finishing that video, or finishing that take, that was one take. Not bad, right? I'll probably put this at the very end as like a behind the scenes kind of thing, but that wasn't bad. I think I'm getting used to this. Peace out, guys.